Aye, and once you're done in the kitchen, go and clean up the cellar. The spiders have made a nest down there. A big one, too. They're crawling everywhere. Master David, nice of you to grace us with your presence.
Anything I can do to brighten up your morning, Angus?
I've had the staff prepare some of the finest Scottish delicacies for you. Black pudding, haggis, scrambled eggs with deer brain, and bacon. I shot the deer myself, in the local woods.
Mother was never a fan of dishes made from entrails. In this case, she'd be missing out. That was delicious. Thank you.
I'm sure our local specialities must seem peculiar to one raised as you were.
I was raised in India. My spectrum of peculiar has quite a range.
Yes, Master David?
May I ask, the maid, she seems nervous, almost afraid of me.
She's afraid of everything.
You don't think much of her?
I do not, sir. And, if I may be so bold, one of Lady Gordon's earrings has gone missing.
You suspect the maid?
Not my place to say, Master David.
Yet I think you just did say. You've worked for the family all your life?
Yes, Master David. Save my time serving in Swaziland.
You served in South Africa?
Oh, indeed, sir. During the Boer War. But Sir Edward intervened and I was able to return unharmed from that most futile conflict.
If I gave him the earring, he'd use it as an excuse to torment the maid. Not that I'd ever gain his trust. He's clearly loyal to Lady Margaret. How many staff are there?
Nowadays, only myself, the maid, and Rory the gardener. I suppose you could include the lawyer, too, if that is work.
Not many for such a big house.
If you felt like hiring more staff, I would not complain, sir. But, of course, not everyone is suited to work in this house.
Well, good day to you.
Indeed, sir.
My guess he's not much into small talk. This'll make it easier to carry. boy. It must be. But I need to be sure. Perhaps the names are on the bag. My family. Yet they're all still strangers to me. What's this? Looks like it's drawn in blood? Regardless of what I told Miss... A sign of modernity. Even if... A sign of Smoking a pipe? I thought that would be beneath her station. Lady Margaret.
David?
May I first apologize for my... I saw an old photograph of a... Something tells me she wouldn't be happy if she knew I had it in my pocket.
That was taken in 1890.
You can remember the exact year?
It's a funny thing when you reach my age. You can remember dates.
But not what you had...
Maybe others.
Who, may I ask, with it?
That would be your Aunt Clara, and your late great-grandmother, the last true Countess of Scotland.
I noticed my
Falling from a tree, perhaps?
Can't recall. But you remember the date the photo... The maid. She seemed... Curse?
Just a peasant superstition. I would guess she was worried you'd show the same
I never knew my father to be the violent.
Oh, there are many. This is his.
What? But how?
I'd rather not discuss it, David. And that maid should really keep her mouth shut and locate the earring she lost. She's like a magpie with shiny, expensive things.
I could give it to her, and she'd still never tell me anything useful about my father or the secrets of this place. But the maid? I could use this to earn her what kind of...
Oh, he was magnificent.
Caring enough to knock a defenseless child down the stairs.
All was so very different.
This may seem like an unusual question.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, dear boy.
Have I ever been here before? Is it possible I visit...
Oh, no.
And I have a feeling you prefer it stayed that. I shall take my leave.
Yes. Oh, and David.
I was looking for some documents and Andrew had already gone to bed.
I would still appreciate you respecting the rules of this house.
Maybe you want to have something to ask her about. Miss Crannan? Did you ever talk to my father?
I was serving here when he... That is to say,
Go on, please.
I didn't think it'd be proper, sir. Lady Margaret said... Oh, sorry, sir. I must get on with my work.
She's as scared of Margaret as she is of... You said my father...
I don't want to talk about...
I noticed the attic door is locked.
You'd best ask Angus, sir.
The mere mention of the attic terrified her. Isn't that used for transporting cooked food? Why is there blood in it?
Ugh, the wee scunner thought it would be funny to put one of his dead beasties in it to fear me. He should keep them in the cellar and... Sorry, sir. I'm speaking out of turn.
I think you may have lost this.
Oh, sir! Oh, thank you, sir. I only wanted to see how it looked in the mirror. I did...
What are you going to do now?
If I can sneak it into the salon, maybe her late...
From what I know about her, I very much doubt her late... What happened to my father here?
I'm sorry, sir. You're not like the rest of them here.
She knows something, but how can I Would you like me to escort you to the cellar?
Wouldn't be proper to ask the owner of the house to do that, sir.
Well, I'm not the owner yet, and you didn't ask.
Very kind of you, sir.
Happy to help. I'll let you know when I'm ready to accompany you down there. I shall leave you to your work. The maid still doesn't quite trust me. I have to find a way to show her I'm on her side. Shall we? Not until we clear out that...
There's a candle here for you, sir.
How cruel of Mr. McKinnon to send her down here alone. How... Let's see what we can find down here. Harsh as it may seem, a proper serving of fire is the only way to get rid of such a widespread infestation. This is as close as I get. Otherwise, I'll have them... This is as... Harsh as it may seem, a proper serving of fire is the only way to get rid of such a widespread infestation. This is as close as I get. Otherwise, I'll have them crawling all over me. I have... This... Raw spirit. Not but the water of life. Some of these whiskies are from local distilleries. Looks fresh.
Master Eddie's work. He and Mr. McKinnon put it here earlier. Poor beastie.
Eddie? Another family member I've yet to... Ooh, a lot of blood for just one animal. Not the most hygienic workstation. A hunting map. Looks like they've been poaching outside the Gordon estate. Step right up.
Sir? What are you... Oh my! Oh, that's amazing! Does that not hurt?
No, a little trick I learned in India.
Sorry, did that scare you, Elsa? I didn't think...
And you are?
Edward Mallory. You may call me Edward III.
So this is Cousin Eddie. He seemed...
Welcome to my castle.
as terrible as the rest of them. You've lived here all your life, so you would...
Only after he lost what marbles he had left. If it were up to me, I'd have locked him up in the loony bin a bit sooner.
Locked him up? Pleased to meet you, Eddie. So, your parents would be my aunt and uncle Clara and Victor. Are they...
Dead. Dead as doornails, the pair of them.
Lovely.
So,
There's a line between honesty and rudeness that Cousin Eddie doesn't seem to recognize. I was helping Miss Crannan.
oh, why didn't you ask me?
Excuse me, sir. Sirs, I really have to go.
Leaving so soon? Was it something I said? They all tend to act like that in the presence of nobility.
You said something about a loony bin?
I did. Oh, you don't know.
Well,
Well, never you mind. I have an animal to prepare.
I'm getting very tired of everyone in this house avoiding my questions.
There's something you should know, sir. Something important. I overheard them talking, and
You're paid to work, not chat. Get to it, girl.
Sorry, Mr. McKinnon. Library, after dinner.
At last, I might get some answers. I better leave Cousin Eddie. Finally, some fresh air. A steady enough vessel. I can see why Rory likes this place. This view should...
Master David.
You could tell it was me.
Your footsteps. I ken the walk of everyone here.
Wow, that's rather incredible.
Aye, that it is, laddie. That it is. I hear better than most. See more than most and all.
Father had a similar toolbox. Back when he still fixed things. Father had a similar tool. When you talked about what they did to my...
You shouldn't have come back. You canna go through what he did as a bairn.
So his hospitalization was justified then?
Not for me to say. Before you think of putting down roots here, you should think on what the poison grown here did to your father. You can?
No, not really.
If you dinna mind, this door'll...
I'll... Father had a similar... Probably didn't look much better before the storm. Must... Nobody left to mourn the dead or care for their graves, it seems. I've seen this before. Who's buried here? If I could just... Ah! I need something to cut through these. I need something to... A parting gift from Mother, to light my way in the darkness, she said. A parting gift from Mother, to light my way in the darkness, she said. Locked with a padlock. Andrew will have a key. Locked with a padlock. I've never seen a key like this before. It feels like Father wanted me to keep it a secret. Lock. You wouldn't have to have a chapel key, would you?
Ain't set a foot in there for years.
That'll be enough. The graveyard.
Aye. No matter how high and...
It's a shame we do not have the means to properly care for the graves.
Why... Maybe.
The graves. I would like to tidy them up. That way I can pay my respects properly.
Is that a fact? Why's that then?
They are my family. They deserve to be remembered. Better. Cecilia Shaw, nee Gordon. Aunt Cecilia. Another piece of the castle model. Another part of the model. And it's stained with what seems to be old blood. Why did Father bury this when he was a child? Another part of the model. And it's stained with what seems to be old blood. Why did Father bury this when he was a child? Father. The place is crumbling. Being the chronicle of the family...
The Celtic peoples arrived in this place. It is well... In time, the Gordon...
Some pages...
Till the day...
What on earth? Where is the coal coming from? Is this what madness feels like? It can't be real. All this looks like the bottom of a lake. What are you trying to show me? She's not holding a baby, but some heavy object to weigh her. There's a fresh wound across her stomach. The figure up there must be Edward.
The
Is this? All this looks like the bottom of a... What are you trying to show me? She's not holding... There's a fresh wound. The figure up there must be... Edward.
Find my child!
Are you all right?
Did you see her? She... drowned.
Calm down, you're in shock. What were you doing clambering about in here?
If I told you, you'd think me mad.
Odd. That is just what your father said to me.
What? Who are you?
My name is Dr. Leah Farber. I treated your father at the asylum.
The asylum?
Let's get you back to the castle and make sure you are all right.
What did you come here for?
I'm not sure your father's story is finished yet, and there are some things I still need to make my peace with.
What's this about an asylum?
As I said, your father was admitted.
Why? Who did that to him?
I did. But unfortunately, he managed to escape.
What? Hold on a minute. How dare you come in here and...
Told you? Your father was a madman. A complete and utter madman. Don't mind me. Please continue.
Well, what right did you have to lock my father up in a madhouse?
I was his doctor. I understand you are in shock, but you have no right to speak to me in such a way. I was trying to help him.
He's dead. Capital job.
Now, hold on just a minute.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, no! No!
Eddie, it'll be all right. Pull yourself together.
I suggest nobody else goes down there. We should keep the room intact until the police can get here.
I shall alert them first thing in the morning. What an unfortunate accident.
An accident? You think so? Just after the madman's son turned up at our door?
And yet you were the one standing over her body with blood on your hands.
How dare you? I was too late. I was trying to help her. She...
There, my sweet boy. Let's get you to bed. Angus, would you?
Of course, ma'am.
I think we will all benefit from a good night's sleep.
I know you may have no reason to, but I need you to trust me. I'm the only one on your side when it comes to your father's death.
Lady Margaret certainly isn't. But if I told you what I saw in the chapel, you'd have me in a padded cell, just like my father. So, what was my father like when you locked him up?
I didn't just lock him up, I tried to help him. Your father was heavily drugged when he was brought to me. It was to prevent any further violent outbursts. Also, Lady Margaret had said, but something felt wrong.
Why did you come here? To make sure my father was successfully in the ground?
With all due respect, Mr. Gordon, I will not allow you to speak to me or about my work in such a tone. I tried everything I could to aid your father. He was convinced he was carrying some ancient curse, that he was being haunted by evil. I wish I had reached him, had been able to help him.
So do I. You weren't the only one who couldn't reach him. You're a persistent one, aren't you? Maybe if I threw you a bone, you'd get off my back. He used to babble about a dark force threatening him and our family.
Was that why he moved you to India? To remove himself from this place?
I believe so.
And yet here you are, in the very place he sought to protect you from.
Who knows? Maybe there is an ancient evil in this place. An evil that drags us back no matter how far away we get. Even from the other side of the world. Father was obsessed with the history of the family for as long as I can remember.
Did your father actually believe his family was out to get him?
Who knows? Though I think what really scared him was beyond the physical.
And what do you think? Was your father right? Are there things beyond the physical?
I have other things to worry about right now. Things like a drowning woman floating in thin air. If you really want to help me, I need to find out what the maid knew, what Lady Margaret and Angus didn't want her to tell me.
You believe it got her killed?
Maybe. What I saw in the chapel, it has to be real. She must have drowned herself down at the loch, because if it's all in my mind, like father, like son.
We need to examine the maid's body in the cellar.
To find out who killed her?
To be sure she was... What is it?
I'll get you back.
Stop monkeying around. Come with me.
I'll come inside in a bit.
Don't go.
Can I just have a few
It's
more
not a request, Carol.
Don't worry. I'll be fine.
What's happening to me?
David? Is everything all right?
We should make haste.
We need to examine the maid's body in the cellar.
To find out who killed her?
To be sure she was murdered before we start pointing... We need to examine the maid's body in...
To find out...
To be sure...
No. Maybe once I find out what really happened to Father here, I can finally talk to my family and staff about some lighter top. Nobody in this...
Oh, stunning. How curious. Come and look at this. Look, they form a clear circle.
This can't be a fluke.
Well, looks like one of the stones is missing.
A heavy enough stone to weigh yourself down with.
We need to examine the maid's body in the cellar.
To find out who killed her?
To be sure she was murdered.
Something's carved into each one.
I've never seen a rose like this before.
I have. The gardener, Rory. He brought some down from the glass house. We need to examine the maid's body in the cellar.
To find out who...
To be sure...
We need to... We need to... We need to... To be sure she was murdered.
I have to thank you again for coming to my aid.
I'm glad I found you in time. We need... We need to examine the maid's body in the cellar.
To find out who killed her?
To be sure she was murdered before we start pointing fingers.
Rory's not one for cleaning up after himself. Rory's not... I guess we'll have the key. Unless we can...
We need to be sure.
That's an unusual-looking rose. I noticed...
Aye, that's been me. A flower.
My aunt?
I grew 'em for her. She loved the roses, did Cecile.
Forgive me, but wouldn't it be more...
Why, she's no there, is she, laddie? That's not where she...
Rory, what happened to her? What happened?
I'm not in the mood to open old wounds, laddie.
There are some strange markings carved into the stones on the shore.
Runes, aye. I'm old-fashioned.
Superstitions don't gain validity just by being believed in for a long time.
I'd watch that. Your precious science doesn't have all the answers, lassie.
May I have some of the roses, Rory? I'd like to place them on Cecilia's grave.
What's she to you? You didn't ken her.
No, I didn't. But she's family. And besides, Father always spoke fondly of her. He would even smile as he talked about playing in the gardens with her as a child.
He did he? Aye, well, that's good to ken. I should have some left in the glass house.
I'll speak to you later, Rory.
Aye, I'm sure you will, laddie. Sorry, lassie, but you can't go in. It's for family only.
Just hold on a moment.
No, it's okay. I quite understand. You go ahead, and I'll wait here for you, if I must.
Aye, you must. I know, it doesn't look like I have green fingers.
These are... dead as dirt.
Hard to raise. Looking to break some more locks.
Are these...
Aye.
They're beautiful.
I like...
But they seem... Can you tell me about Cecilia?
She was a lovely lassie, but, she...
Grandfather Ed?
You ken, well...
You said she wasn't in her...
Aye.
Did she...
She did. Killed herself. Her body was never found. Now all I have of her is my memories. And they are not what they were.
That is exquisite. Cecilia made this.
She made it, aye. For me.
You are unworthy of the name Gordon.
Get away from her, you coward!
The saboteurs Edward used. They ended up in this corner. Can you... Did... Are these... That's...
You are unworthy of the name Gordon.
Get away from her, you coward!
They lied to me.
Who did?
All of them.
It's me!
Was Cecilia not able to have children? Did that anger Grandfather Edward?
Maybe you can see well enough too, son. Maybe you can. It wasn't her, it was...
I think so, yes.
Aye, well, Edward blamed Cecilia for it. For picking the wrong man for her mate.
What just happened?
I could ask you the same thing. You started to talk to yourself. And then you were throwing your arms about like you were fighting something. I couldn't see what. You started...
I saw an old lady. She wore a long, flowing dress.
Sounds like Rosemary. You'll be fine, laddie. You just need some fresh air. This place can...
The secretary should be... The crack is right there. Edward was furious. Seems...
Trust your instincts, laddie.
David, are you all right?
Am I all right? I should be asking you. I'm...
Don't worry. I faced...
She's tough. I don't think it's possible to face her.
Maybe don't leave me outside like a naughty puppy next time.
Yes, quite. I feel like the madness that runs through this family, through these walls, is starting to seep into me too.
I can help you, but you need to open up. You need to start talking to me.
You would not believe me if I told you.
Stubborn, just like your father.
I think that Edward may be responsible for the death of my Aunt Cecilia. Not directly. She drowned herself in the loch. I think that Edward drove her to it.
Old families usually have a skeleton or two in the cupboard.
Whatever secret this family is hiding, it's costing lives. Cecilia, the maid, my the second...
Trust you.
David.
I feel like... I think that... What...
If you'd just like to wait out here, sir.
I need to speak with Eddie.
The young master and...
Might as well try moving a mountain. May I remind you... Fair enough. There's no doubt about his There's no doubt. There's no doubt about his loyalty. Mr. McKinnon.
You may not, sir. As Mr. Harrison's...
That's a fair point. I'm just concerned that some of the game...
Well...
I'd be happy to... The owners of the land may take...
Then it's...
For Eddie to be...
You're barely...
I'm the new owner of the estate.
I think that...
I do, and I don't think Lady Margaret would take kindly...
Upon reflection...
There's no doubt about it. Maybe once I found out... Good thing I found...
Her neck's been broken, and with some considerable... Her necklace...
Still, well beyond a mate's...
Where's that sudden draft
Your
come
stag is here, my little doe.
Little doe? Not exactly the usual way to address the staff. Her clothes. He ripped a seam open.
The missing pendant. He threw it into the blood-filled basin.
We're all here, sir. All down in the dark. Something's coming. The attic, sir. She's in the attic.
What just happened? You look like you were in some kind of trance.
Perhaps the lack of sleep is affecting me.
Or the visions that you'd think me insane if I described them to you.
I know you're holding out on me. I am on your side, remember? I thought I'd proven that to you already.
Perhaps I'm misjudging her.
Your father wouldn't speak to me either. Please let me help you.
Or not. I'm not a patient. I'm not a madman.
Ugh, that's horrible.
You're not the one with your hand in it. French. I don't speak French.
I do. It says for Clara, forever yours. Who's Clara?
I don't know. Yet another relative, perhaps?
We should ask someone who's been around here for longer. How did you know it was there? The pendant, I mean.
If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. A hunch. Eddie gave this to her. We should ask him to his face just what his relationship was with her.
This isn't another ghost story, is it?
Look, you wouldn't understand. I can't...
What I do understand is that we could not accuse a man of murder without proof.
The scene really did rip when she tried to get away from him. They seem to be a house full...
Mr. McKinnon...
The lady, Clara, young Eddie's late mother. A box with some of her belongings are kept in the library, as Master Eddie feels himself more a Gordon than a Mallory.
Nobody in this house is... There's no doubt... If Eddie really gave her that... If Eddie really gave her that pendant, he might be her killer, and I might not be losing my mind. If Eddie really gave her that pendant, he might be her killer, and I might not be losing my mind. Maybe once... There's no doubt about his loyalty, nor with whom it lies. Nobody in this house is particularly Maybe once I found out what really happened to Father here, I can finally talk to my family and staff about some lighter topics. Clara.
It's...
Clara.
It's hardly an uncommon name. We...
Recognize that?
The necklace.
A young...
I regret to inform you that your husband, Corporal Victor... Your husband... It was not... Please accept... Yours, Captain Ar...
Thank you. Yep.
The date. You see? The necklace...
But how could you know this? I can't help you if you don't tell me.
You see?
But...
Cousin Eddie... You see?
You're right. But how could you know...
Cousin Eddie might be a murderer. How I draw my... Eddie, I need to ask you about the maid. About Ailsa.
You didn't know her?
I know that you and her were... that is to say...
What? That's poppycock! You're as deranged as your father was!
David, really? You go too far with this behaviour.
The police will be here soon. Would you not prefer to clear this up before they get here in case they link Eddie with the crime?
Now look here, young lady. How dare you speak?
That's enough. Eddie. My little doe. Strange thing to call the help.
How? It was just...
You gave her this. It was your mother's.
I did. It was.
Eddie!
I was just trying to cheer her up. She has nothing. You know she sends... You know she sent most of her...
Her clothing was ripped, as if someone was trying to force themselves upon her.
I would never have hurt her.
You're a worthless liar. You think she thought being pressed against a dead animal was harmless fun?
How do you know? It's true. Ailsa and I would never have laid a finger on her. We were in love. I helped her with everything, even with her chores. Rose and...
That's quite enough. Eddie, you are obviously upset. And you are not helping, David. Angus, will you please take the young master upstairs?
As you say, Mum.
I think you have caused quite enough disruption here. We shall settle this heritage dilemma first thing tomorrow.
I don't think so. I have more questions now than ever. About my father, the maid, this whole damn house.
Have a care, David. Need I remind you of your father's temper?
I would never.
Given the current mental state of Master Eddie, who should be a part of the heritage considerations, any discussion on the topic would be futile at this point. Would you not agree?
Thank you, Leah. Maybe it's a good thing you're here after all.
Impudent brats!
What's going on?
Did you notice when Margaret got angry?
When Eddie mentioned chores involving Rose. What does that mean?
It can only have something to do with Lady Rosemary and Aunt Cecilia, and whatever the maid was doing in the attic.
The attic?
I saw the maid coming down the stairs with a tray, but there's nothing up there but an empty room, or so I thought.
Interesting. What is it, David?
I have to see.
David, wait! You have to start confiding in me, David. What are you seeing?
I can see echoes. Memories of those who lived here. I see my father.
Perhaps you visited here as a child. Maybe you're remembering stories.
You see? I said you wouldn't believe me. If I'm only remembering things, how would I have known where to find a pendant? How could I have known he tried to force himself on her? Unless you think I killed her.
I don't think you killed anyone, David. And you're right. I can't explain it.
So?
So, we focus on the facts as we know them.
Go on.
You saw the maid's body. Her neck was broken. That was the work of a...
I suppose so, yes.
Lady Margaret knows more than she's saying.
Godspeed getting anything out of that old hag.
No, I know. But Eddie might be an easier option.
Yes. Yes, we need to find him. And make sure Margaret isn't there to interrupt.
I believe she's already gone to bed, but I'll check. You go find Eddie.
Well, that's clear enough.
Well, hello, my dear Elsa. Oh, Sir Edward, you look very handsome today.
Eddie?
Why, thank you. You are as beautiful as ever, my little doe. Oh, mwah, mwah.
Self-made dog. Eddie, can you hear me? What can you tell me about Great-Grandmother Rose? What did Elsa have to do? Eddie! What do you see here, Eddie?
You're quite safe, the little rabbit said to his brothers and sisters. The fox is fast asleep, so the rabbits tiptoed past, but the fox was sly. He wasn't asleep at all. He opened his yellow eyes.
I've warned you before to mind your place. This will be the last time you defy me!
The eyes of the fox, they shone with cruel light as he punched on the rabbits and ate them all one by one. It was only then he went to sleep, his tummy full, his heart content.
I wonder what's on the other side. Is there... no, can't see a switch or lever. I guess not all castles are like Edgar. A secret.
What?
That won't be long, I hope. Look after Eddie. Just a little further. Damn it!
That's it. Open wide. Good, good.
I don't want any.
That's all right, dear. Did I tell you that John's son David has arrived? He's as bothersome as his father. Not worthy of this place. Poor Angus will never recover from the sight of John's charred remains. Selfish, selfish man.
Please, don't.
I do not enjoy this, as you well know, but you brought it on yourself. Your son was a good man. You should not have defied him.
Rosemary. Oh my God. She's barely skin and bones. How is she still alive?
I found the hidden switch. It was in the bookcase.
You scared me half to death.
Well, you will insist on wandering off without telling me where you're going, and I just managed to avoid Lady Margaret when... Jesus God!
I saw this. Edward beat her with it. Used it to cripple the...
Oh my God. And he hung it there to remind her every day. Take it down.
You're sure?
Do it!
Big and heavy, but it's seen better days. Just how long? Rose? Rosemary? Can you hear me? Big and heavy. Big and heavy. Rose?
Where are you going? We can't leave her like this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rose?
Rosemary, can you hear me? Rose? Rosemary, can you hear me? Rosemary, I'm David, John's son, your great-grandson.
Here, try this. No, like this. Gently.
Who did this to you?
Edward. I was bad. I disobeyed.
Disobeyed? How did you disobey?
Cecilia. I tried to stop him. Stop what he was doing.
What was he doing, Rosemary?
Should not have disobeyed. Not disturb him in the old wing. Never talk back.
Rose! Rose!
I don't think you'll get anything more out of her. Come on, Lady Rosemary. We'll get you out of here.
No!
We can get you somewhere safe.
I'm safe here, in this room. Safe from the Black Mirror.
The Black Mirror. Margaret has a... I think we need to have words with her ladyship.
Margaret, we need to talk about...
Lady Margaret, if you please.
Never mind that. What the hell are you doing with Rosemary?
You're one to talk. You're just like your father, leaving nothing but fear and misery in your wake.
What in God's name are you talking about?
You spoke to young Eddie, did you not? Now he's convinced everyone is trying to kill him. He has taken poor Andrew hostage and is threatening his life.
Where is he?
He's taken him to the old wing, and he is armed.
I'll go. I can talk to him.
You will not. You two have caused quite enough trouble already.
We? How dare you, when you continue to worship Edward, even though he drove poor Cecilia to drown herself?
I will not allow you to...
To what? To speak the truth? To say that Edward...
He never touched her! You come here, and you...
No, you. You are the one in the wrong here. You know more than you're saying, and we both know it. There's something in this place. An evil that has plagued our family for generations. Instead of blaming others, maybe you should...
You know nothing. What I did, what I do, every...
Please, my lady, we can discuss this later. Miss Farber, you need to speak...
Take us to him.
This way. Have a care in the old wing. It isn't used, and for good reason. A section of wall fell into the sea some years back, and the rest is falling to ruin.
Over there, sir. Eddie?
No! No! They're after me! All of them! Trying to kill me! No! Please help!
Eddie, look at me, Eddie, just at me. It's going to be all right.
Stay back here. I'll try to reason with him.
You will not. This is what I do.
What are you doing? One more step and I kill him!
Oh, she's good. She's keeping him distracted. But I'm...
Eddie?
Oh, deep and
Talk
wide.
to me, Eddie. Tell me what's troubling you.
Troubling me? He is! I said stay away! They all are!
They all are what, Eddie?
Accusing me! They think I killed her!
I think we need to have